Oh, baby, what's good, Mime Timers? I'm so glad that you could be tuning in today to hear all the crazy nonsense that I have to say. Oh, baby. This episode is part two, where I share my personal experience of what I'm sacrificing or in the middle of sacrificing in order to accomplish my dreams or at least get closer to my goals. And if you've been listening to my previous episodes or even talking to me in person at all, you might know that I've become more obsessive with my podcast and dedicated towards my goals, which I think overall is a good thing. And I'm trying to be as minimalist as I can, like sell or get rid of a bunch of shit. And also turning away from hobbies like video games and maybe socializing as much as I used to, because I have a very intense, extreme personality. And I have honestly probably brainwashed myself too much with all this hustle culture, all the Gary V's and Alex Beckers and Sam Ovens and whoever, multi-millionaire, billionaire, entrepreneur, author, athlete, general, or what have you. And what I want to tell you, my dear audience, is that this is not for everyone. And I cannot stress this enough. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt and always be thinking for yourself. And always be careful who you trust or listen to or learn from on the internet, especially any guru. Back when I was a serious devout Christian, we would always talk about discernment, like discerning false doctrine from true doctrine, discerning the word of God, false teachings and false prophets, that kind of thing. And in a broader sense, you could call this just having good wisdom. I mean, the topic of discernment, not in a Christian religious sense, like I used to view it as, but just like in a general life sense, you want to be careful where you get information and ideas from. And just because someone on the internet might put out great, amazing ideas that change your life, it obviously doesn't mean that everything they say is true or beneficial or applicable to you in your individual, unique life situation or career path or journey in life. And some of these guys that you learn from or that I've learned from, people that have inspired me, I did some research and later it turns out they're frauding people out of millions of dollars. Again, this really deserves its own episode. But for example, Brian Rose of London Real has been a big hero to me over the past few years. And even his aesthetic of, dressing in a nice suit and wearing bow ties, like that kind of influenced me. I mean, I was always wearing bow ties like in the club, like that was kind of my thing. So I'm not going to get rid of it. But, you'll see like fancy, super rich entrepreneurs like flying in private jets or whatever, talking about life and money. And maybe they have some really good things to say that if you apply to your own life can really get you to the next level. And at the same time, you might not want to buy their course because it turns out to be not as much value as they're actually offering, or it turns out there are a lot of negative reviews that they're hiding. So always do your due diligence, like always do research and think things through. And I'm just saying this as much to myself. I should be saying this to myself more than you guys because like I've been very gullible. I'm a gullible person. I'm very impressionable because I want to learn. I want to learn from the people who I think are the best in the world. But then it turns out like those people who I thought were the best in the world, maybe they were shady in some aspect of their life. Does that mean like I have to give up everything that I heard from them? I don't think that helps me because, for example, Sam Ovens, who I've been praising in recent videos, I just found out recently like he has a lot of negative reviews. And whenever there's like a negative comment on Reddit or something that is attached to it with his name mentioned, he has his own name trademark. So there's like a DMCA claim that goes to strike out that comment. Shady stuff like that. So then it turns out like, oh, this person who I thought was the shit, who I thought was like an amazing benefactor to humanity, turns out that they do a lot of shady shit. So in a future episode, I would love to tell you guys more about how much of an impressionable, gullible idiot I am, and that I don't have life figured out, and I'm still learning how the world works. There's so many things about this life that I don't understand, and I've made all kinds of crazy mistakes, and I've had very, very dogmatic worldviews. Like when I was a very devout Christian, and I thought like you could only believe the Bible and the scriptures and see the world in this one way. You can only interpret the Bible this one way. And this is the right way, and this applies to absolutely everyone. And if you don't believe in Jesus Christ and repent, you're going to hell. I've been dogmatic in that way, and then I broke away and I had a worldview, an existential crisis, and then later on, I would find other things to cling meaning to. cling my identity to. So when you invest your identity and your ego in things that give you a lot of meaning, maybe you subscribe to a book or a worldview or an author or some gurus, and it turns out that some of these influences have, then maybe you think, oh, like, how could I have been such an idiot? Right. And then my voice, my inner voice tells me, like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. I'll never be smart enough to think for myself. I'll never be worthy enough. Like, I can't love myself because I know deep down inside that I'm not good enough. Right. These are the things I want to talk to you guys with. Honestly, I just want to share my journey with you of all the stupid things that I've believed and all the ways that I've been wrong. So hopefully you learn from it. But just because I'm really into something, it doesn't mean that my views don't change. And I'm always evolving and I'm always trying to improve. So then all these mistakes when I was, I don't know, really into Brian Rose of London Real and Dan Pena, the world's $1 trillion man or whatever, I look back and think, oh, you know what? Like, once I found out they were like bullshitting a lot of people, then I realized, you know what? Like, I don't want to watch their videos anymore because I was so turned off. Like, that's the human thing. And now recently with Alex Becker and more so Sam Ovens, I'm in the same situation. It's like, God, I'm an idiot. Every couple of years, I come across a new figure or a new guru or what have you. And I get really all pumped up because of, their ideas and what they're saying. And like, you need to hustle and you need to pull the trigger and you need to do this and that. And you know what? I get up my ass and I do things. Like, I am changing my life. And thanks to Sam Ovens, like, I'm meditating 20 minutes every day and I'm not going to give that up. Just because he scammed a lot of people doesn't mean that he's not right about meditating and having a routine and being disciplined. I mean, maybe that's how he became so successful at scamming a bunch of people, is just that he was so disciplined and meditated on how he could scam people. I don't know. Always do your own research and always hear from different sides and different views about one particular set of ideas or a given person, so you can find out what makes sense to you so that you can realistically apply that into your own daily life and praxis and all that. I almost wanted to just delete this past episode and this episode, this 2-part series on what I'm sacrificing, but I'm going to stick to it. I hope you get something out of it. And if you have any ideas and feedback on how I can improve the show, I would really appreciate it, fam. Just send me an email at mime@mimetime.com or at mimetime at whatever social media handle that I will occasionally check, because I'm trying to stay away from social media for the most part because it just distracts you from doing what you really want in life. But I will read your message. And if you got something out of this, please, please, please share it with a friend. I would really appreciate it. And perhaps it can help your friend find a direction in life or come to grips with their identity issues and so on. So excuse me for the long intro. Now let's get right into it hard. You know what time it is? It's mime time. And continuing on the topic of sacrifice, here's another thing that I'm not doing anymore: party, event planning, and club promoting. A lot of you might actually know me as being Mime, the promoter at Club Boom Bar. I worked at one of the best hip hop clubs in Seoul, and those were some of the best years of my life. It's not sacrifice because obviously I can't do club event promoting anymore due to COVID. But pre-COVID, my partner Eric and I really wanted to take this shit to the next level. We were getting there. Our last big party at Soul Dragon City, New Year's Eve 2020, we had like 2,000 people come and awesome talents perform. It was one of the best nights of my life with like a bunch of my best friends and even my childhood buddy Mark, who came from the States. Like, we partied together on New Year's Eve. It was epic. Honestly, I miss doing those big parties as well as sometimes the weekly promotions at Boom Bar. I became one of the number one promoters at the club during my time there. And during my good months, I made really good money. And I made tons of mistakes that I kept wanting to improve on. Sometimes I think, man, if I could really master my marketing and networking skills, I could quit my other part-time freelance work and just do club/event planning full time, going all the way to planning festivals. We were really optimistic. Working at the club every weekend, promoting, was really one of the best part-time jobs anyone can ever have, I think. It didn't make me enough money that I could only do that, but I thought about it a lot. A lot of you guys know me from the club. I love a good party. I love meeting people, friends of friends, seeing beautiful people enjoying themselves, having the time of their lives, meeting successful businessmen, artists, entrepreneurs, celebrities, influencers, making connections while popping bottles, taking shots, enjoying the vibes, dancing my ass off. I live that dream. A part of me feels like it was cut short because of COVID. I wanted more. Nothing is better than a successful party night. Nothing is like it. When every table is booked, the club is packed, the DJ and the artist kill the show, the club makes a ton of money, which means you make good money, you look good to the club owner, to the staff, to the guests. You gain status, respect, attention from women. Everybody fucking loves you, and you love everybody. You're dressed sharp, you're charming, you're entertaining, cracking spot on jokes that get a whole table of people roaring. You're on point. You don't miss a beat as you make sure everybody is having a good time and your VIPs are happy. You dance your ass off until closing. I'm telling you, there's nothing fucking better than that. That you helped create the right atmosphere, that you offered that much value, that you had the time of your life with other people having the time of their lives, making amazing memories. For me, there is no better feeling in the world. And now imagine, like me, you wish you could do that full time so that your life is even more of a bigger party than it already is. God damn it. That is the greatest motherfucking feeling in the whole goddamn world, to be the guy that makes a good fucking party happen. I miss that more than anything. And because of COVID, no more parties. It's not even about the money or the steadier, substantial income I got pre COVID. What sucks most about COVID for me, fam, is I miss doing the parties. I miss having people around and having great times together at that level. Now, at the same time, to be honest with you guys, it wasn't perfect. Not every party was a success. Some were duds. I'll be completely honest with you. Sometimes we would do a party and we'd invite a bunch of people as much as we can, and then, barely anybody showed up. Those were painful. When you do a party right and it's packed, you're the motherfucking god, mate. When you don't and people don't show up, you're motherfucking not a god, mate. And a lot of times it's honestly like a matter of luck. All the different groups of people out on a given night, like if they want to come up to that club, if they're in for that hip hop mood or whatever, or if it's wintertime, people don't want to go out because it's too cold, or the economy's down and a lot of people aren't making a lot of money. Who knows? Like economic trends and all sorts of factors. Like a neighborhood like Itaewon was kind of dying down before COVID, anyways. There hadn't been a lot of people going and partying and drinking and hanging out in Itaewon even before COVID. The club and nightlife game is really hard, guys, to be consistently good on it years in and years out. And not only that, the weekly grind did take its toll on me for sure. With or without drinking, always hitting people up, always checking your phone, using social media. I mean, it's a grind. And even if you invite 100, 150, 200 people out to an event, you don't want to just send a spammy message or just send a poster and is like, hey, party this Friday, come on out. For me, my style was to like hit people up individually and say, hey, John, hey, Sarah, how's it going? It's good to see, it was good to see you the other weekend, build more rapport, and then ask them what they're doing on the weekend. And then they say, oh, I have plans with a friend, or nothing, what's up? And they say, well, I got this dope party that I'd love for you to come. So guest list closes before 12. Please let me know soon if you want to go, blah, 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 blah. Now imagine multiplying that by 50 times, 100 times, over the course of a week. And you're trying to get through all these messages, get back to people, start contacting people. Sometimes you forget that you already invited someone, you invite them again, and maybe it gets awkward. So that's some of the unsexy part of being a club/event promoter. Just hitting people up and trying to keep track of all the conversations and messages. And social media again, God. Putting up posts and stories and responding to all the DMs. It was draining, guys, because it's work. But I still wanted to come off as a genuine, authentic person who's interested in the other person to get them to come to the club. And I made a lot of awesome friends that way. Like, it's not manipulative, it's genuine. And so when people come, like, I express gratitude for the support, for showing up. And if I can, I get them a shot, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, because of COVID, I didn't have to do that anymore, right? So maybe that part of the job I don't miss. If it weren't for COVID, I like to think we could have elevated to the next level of doing full-time, weekly, monthly events that made us a lot of money, either at the club or at other venues. I don't know. I decided I was going to do this podcast, Mime Time, back in 2019 before COVID. And I launched it in February of 2020. So when I started this podcast last year, I had the intention of being the club party promoter podcast guy, doing more episodes about nightlife, entertainment, music, artists, interviewing other club promoters and artists and DJs, that kind of stuff, because I love nightlife and the entertainment industry. And I'm still very connected, of course. And sometimes I think, wouldn't it be cool if I was still doing weekly promotions at the club while also working on my podcast, marketing for the club as well as marketing for the podcast? Things didn't turn out that way, but at least I still got Mime Time. And what matters now is that I don't have to spend that time doing the promotions at the club anymore or focusing on events as much as I miss it. And as far as going out in general is concerned, sure, these days I'll go out for a drink with a friend here and there, especially now as it's my birthday month as I record this. But as much as I used to, no, I got to focus now on this podcast more than ever. I've been talking to you guys up until now about my personal material possessions that I'm getting rid of and different hobbies and stuff that I've turned away from, like how I wanted to be a club party promoter. But thanks to COVID, I can't really do that anymore. Let me talk about my past dreams, potential paths that I could have gone down in the past. Before I came to Korea, I used to dream of being a pastor. I was a biblical and theological studies major in college. I wanted to help others find Jesus Christ to bring hope, love, and meaning to their lives the way I did. I wanted to glorify God. I had this whole dream of becoming a pastor theologian, learning ancient Hebrew, ancient Greek, perhaps even Aramaic to study the scriptures and write academic papers while ministering to lost souls, building a community for God, not having sex until marriage, having kids, writing books, becoming some prolific Christian theologian, author, pastor. I was perhaps one of the most intensely devout believers to the point of alienating friends and faculty. And if anyone who knew me from those days at Gordon College, like if your friend and faculty knew me, then you knew like I was a pretty weird kid or like I was very intense about my faith. And even before then, like in my later high school years, you may remember how serious I was about my faith. I loved studying the Bible academically, historically, culturally, like sociologically and all that, and like from a devotional, spiritual, mystical way as well. I was really passionate about Jesus and had a burning desire of wanting to bring people into his sweet messianic embrace. My whole identity was in my religion, my Christianity. Then I lost my faith, lost my meaning for existence, tried to kill myself, dropped out of school, and came to Korea. I talk all about Christianity in an early episode, and I still have lots of things I want to unpack in terms of like the way I view Christianity and religion and spirituality as a post-Christian, like as a postmodern Christian. You know, I don't go to church anymore, but this is what I think about the religion as a whole, all the negative and positive things about it. Like this, there's a bunch of like awesome stuff I want to talk about in future episodes, but that'll be for another time. That was my dream. My dream was to be a Christian pastor, which is literally the most fucking ironic thing in the world, that I came to Korea after losing my faith and my dreams of becoming a pastor to later become a hip hop club promoter and become a drunkard and a fornicator and a sinner. I mean, even more of a sinner than I already was. And it is with great pride, humor, and actually some humility that I tell you I'm a lot better off for it, I think. I think I'm a lot happier of a person. I think I understand myself and people more now. And I'm really grateful that life has turned out this way. And in some ways, being a party promoter, you're kind of like a leader in a tribe. Like people kind of end up looking up to you, you know, because you have some authority and you have some power. You know, you host a party and you're the center of attention, and you know, you decide who gets to go on the guest list, and you can pull favors or discounts or whatever when you can. So people gravitate to you like a pastor, and then they come to you in the worst of times and the best of times. People lost their job, or they just went through a breakup or a divorce, you know, or, you know, someone maybe just died and they just want to relieve some stress. So for them, they find the way to relieve stress is to go to the club and have a bunch of shots and drink their sorrows away. I've seen people at their worst in a club, and I've seen people like break down in tears, or, you know, have an emotional breakdown, get in arguments, get in fights. And I've seen people at the best times of their lives. Like they just had a wedding. And so this is like the after parties at the club. People just got a job promotion or a new job, or it's their birthday or my birthday. Everyone's just dancing and having the time of their lives. People come to love you and trust you. And I listen to them when they're going through a rough time, and I sympathize or empathize with them. And when they're having the best time of their life, I rejoice with them. I'm happy with them, and we have drinks together. We share the moments together. You see the similarities to being a pastor, like overlooking a community, like taking care of his flock. Like in some ways, I find it very ironic, but also very fitting that I lost my dreams of becoming a Christian pastor and then came to Korea and became a degenerate hip hop club promoter. Oh. Anyways, I think you get the point. So, excuse me, I'm going out of chronological order here, but basically, I came to Korea after I lost my dream of being a pastor, and then I went to a bunch of open mics, as I mentioned last episode. So then my dream was to become something like a hip hop artist, like some spoken word type lyricist. I wanted to write lyrics about postmodern faith, finding meaning in oneself after religion, about my cultural upbringing, about social and philosophical ideas with cool, dope, unique instrumentals and beautiful melodies. I wanted to write bars and hooks about deep shit, because I was still unraveling all these ideas that I had about the church and religion and spirituality, like after I had turned away from Christianity and I had lost all meaning, and I was picking up the pieces and trying to find meaning with myself and life and all that. And I had all these ideas about how people can find meaning in their lives when they lose all meaning in their identity, like such as if you're a Christian, or even if you're, I don't know, a Jewish or a Muslim, and then you find that it's not what you thought it was, so you go through an existential crisis. And I fucking love music, lyricism, art. Like music's my favorite thing. I wrote down a bunch of poems and lyrics and even performed a few songs at open mics over the years. Guys, I was this close to being a SoundCloud rapper going, I'm a lyrical spiritual miracle. Shout out to Filthy Frank. May he rest in peace. If things had turned out differently, if I had more discipline and took action 10 years ago, you might not be listening to Mime Time podcast, but Mime Time's album right now. If there's one thing I regret looking back in my early 20s, I wish I did it. I wish I bought a microphone for cheap, and I wish I tried recording, and I wish I went to every single open mic and really tried to figure out my style, probably bomb on stage, produce some EPs, and just really try to make a following of dedicated listeners. But it's okay. I'm doing this now. And looking back, what both wanting to become a pastor and wanting to become some kind of stage performing and recording hip hop artist have in common is that I wanted to tell my story, a message. I wanted to inspire other people to think differently, to be more compassionate, to think about spiritual and cultural issues in a different way. I wanted to help people find themselves in fulfillment. Instead of becoming a pastor or a rapper, now I'm a podcaster. If I think about it, my dream is still the same in spirit. It has just evolved in form. I'm not in a church giving a sermon ministering to the lost and saved. I'm not on a stage spitting bars in front of a crowd, making everyone go wild. I'm standing in front of my MacBook and microphone, sometimes naked, at my standing desk, my ghetto Mime Time workstation, which is basically just a coffee table that I put on top of the desk because I can't sit down at the desk on my chair for long periods of time because of my back. I don't want to hurt my back, right? So I should stand while I work. I'm spending hours and hours here writing these thoughts down, recording, editing, and publishing them for you, my dear audience, to listen. The dream has evolved, but the spirit is still the same. Interestingly, they all feature a platform, a microphone, an audience, and storytelling. As far as I can see, this is the best iteration of this dream to get the maximum impact I can have on the world. This is the best way I can serve humanity. Perhaps this is better. Maybe you're listening to this and you can become a better pastor or a better artist than I ever could be. And I know due to the prevailing situation, it's quite difficult for people to gather to listen to a speaker, but I may very well someday be in a stage in front of you all, spitting my Mime Time fire. So I've talked at length until now about a bunch of things that I'm not giving time and attention to anymore. objects, hobbies, other potential life paths because they're distractions. I've gotten these ideas from Alex Becker, the most woke empty house billionaire, and Sam Ovens, who talks about sacrificing for your goals and being lean and frugal and having monk like discipline. Even Becker says, no, you don't need to go that extreme and be minimal and sell all your stuff and have an empty house to be successful. But for me, this is an experiment. It just might help to remove all distractions and make the commitment to stick to one thing. Until I reach my goals in this podcast and it makes sense to consider doing something else, I need to go all in. I know maybe what I'm doing is extreme, or maybe not extreme enough, depending on who you talk to, but I'm trying something different. So I'm not saying you have to do this, just to consider what might help you and what might work for you. Always. This is about your journey, not just my own. I'm always tweaking this as well. I'm sort of allowing myself some space and some time to indulge in perhaps socializing, having a drink here and there, only as a reward when I put in long, consistent hours of work day in and day out. Then maybe. Like, this may be silly, but July was my birthday month and people want to meet up one on one for meals and drinks. And I'm like, okay, I'll let myself have fun and do that while I'm still young, but only as I put the time in and as a reward. And then after July, I really am going to tighten up even further than I already have. I'm not going to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Gary Vee by tomorrow. I got to go at a pace that works for me. So I want to shift gears a bit and tell you about something that's been on my mind. Last year, I was having a drink with someone who's a bit of a mentor to me. He's an extremely skilled martial artist who rides motorcycles and trains birds of prey to hunt. Like, do you know anybody who goes into the wilderness and trains a falcon to go catch rabbits? So in my community, we call him Birdman. And Birdman is actually the guy who got me to join karate classes less than a year ago. He does some really cool shit working on some big projects like nature preservation. He's like the most interesting man kind of figure who's traveled the whole world, competing in tournaments and competitions, hangs out with all kinds of interesting people. And during the sparring sessions, I've seen him move. This guy could literally fucking destroy me. Like, he could kill me. I feel like if you put him in a room with 10 other people, he would kill them all if his life depended on it. And when we hung out, he's a jovial, humble guy, very down to earth. But when he gets serious, it's serious. And he has this deep, ice cold intensity in his eyes. He's this larger than life kind of person I want to emulate. So as I was saying, we were having a drink and we were talking about something. It might have been about martial arts. And he basically said, people don't try. People these days don't try. They should really try. They should do something and really try until it breaks. I really don't remember what he was talking about. It could have been about karate. It could have been about business or art, but that has really stuck with me. In life, for any endeavor, how can you really say you failed at something unless you try? If you give up on something, you haven't even failed because you haven't even tried. You have to work really hard in order to fail. Failing, that's a fucking reward after you put in the effort so you can learn all the lessons that come with failure. How crazy is that? You have to earn failure. Failure, true failure, when you give something your all and it doesn't work out, that's precious. That's hard-earned wisdom, life lessons, being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you did your best, more than most ever will, and all that shit. Elon Musk said, if something is important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. So he has Tesla and SpaceX. Tesla, he has the dream of advancing humanity towards, electric cars for a greener future because climate change and we don't want to all drown and the polar ice caps melting and all that shit. SpaceX, he wants humanity to colonize Mars because we have all these problems at home. So one could say that he's trying to save planet Earth by getting everyone to transition to electric vehicles, while at the same time expanding humanity's reach to Mars and outer space. To him, these are like the most important things for humanity. These are like the most important challenges that we as a species need to overcome. To him, these are things that are important enough for him to try, even if the probable outcome is failure. And he won't know unless he tries. And if Tesla or SpaceX fails to reach their goals, or, they go bankrupt and the polar ice caps melt and humanity's fucked before we can leave the planet or whatever, I mean, at least Elon tried. At least we as a species, some of us tried, not me. I'm just a bum with a microphone complaining to you guys about how I had an identity issue because I didn't grow up speaking Korean and all this bullshit. Anyways, my point being, yeah, who can judge Elon Musk or who can judge Tesla or SpaceX for trying? I mean, these are like the most ambitious goals that humanity has. And even if he quote unquote fails or they go bankrupt, at least they tried. And whatever degree of success that they're experiencing now is because of countless failures, countless engineering flaws or business hangups or failed rocket launches and explosions. And I would venture to guess that Elon is someone who is cutting out all distractions as much as he can to focus on his dream vision. So until I change my habits, cut out my distractions, and devote all the time and energy I possibly can for this podcast, for Mime Time, how can I say that I really tried? I want to impact hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people as much as I can. I want at least 1,000 true fans telling me that my podcast has changed their lives, that they've learned to accept who they are, to love themselves, to believe in themselves, to confront the demons of the past and heal ancient scars as I tell my own story. I want these people to tell me that they found direction in life, peace with their loved ones and their heritage and their societies and with the world at large. In order to do that, I need to be obsessed about this day in and day out. Only then will results come. Sam Ovens talks about obsession, cultivating a passion, what your main thing is. Now, finding what your passion is, or if you can even do that, like it's some magic box that you have to unlock inside yourself. And once you find it, you'll unlock all the motivation that you need to become the person that you want to be to fulfill all your wildest dreams. People say, go follow your passion. And I'm saying that as well. But first, you need to define what passion means for you. And that's not what this episode is about. That's for another episode. But what's practical is that if you have something that you like, you can cultivate that. You can cultivate a passion, what your main thing is. And going back to Sam Ovens, you don't have to like it every day. Sure, there are days or moments when I don't want to be doing this. I'd rather check my phone or go on social media or go get more coffee or something back when I drank coffee and used social media regularly. I'd rather talk to a friend I haven't spoken to a long time or check my bank statement or look at my emails, but then nothing gets done. Right now, it's a Saturday night. And as with every single Saturday night, I could be going out, drinking, socializing. But the more I do that, the less time and energy I have because of hangovers I'll have for working on this podcast. Sam Ovens strongly recommends that you quit drinking. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. You guys know me, like I will take breaks from time to time. Some people might be like, no, man, you have to remove absolutely every negative influence and you'll become superior as a human being. And I am trying to be the best version of myself. That's what this podcast is about. And I'm human and I have my struggles with my addictions and with not good habits. So I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest, fam. But right now, this is what I'm doing on a Saturday night. Podcasting. Is it really the thing for me? What I think is that I have to cultivate this to make it the thing for me. I continuously grow into it and remind myself why I'm doing it. I have to brainwash myself and say, it's the coolest fucking thing. I'm going to become super fucking good at this podcasting shit. This is more important than anything else in my life. This is more fun, meaningful, and worthwhile than anything else I could do with my time. This is my vision, my path, and my purpose in life for the foreseeable future. It's like being in a marriage or having a husband or wife or having a kid. You love it, but you might not love it every day, every moment. You love it on average. And all of those days of giving it love, giving it hard, built over time, adds up into something incredible, an incredible relationship, an incredible child, an incredible product, service, or message. That's why it's important to watch out for shiny object syndrome. Do I want to do other things? Hobbies and career opportunities? Yes, I'm just as ADD as everyone else with a ton of different interests. Shit, even watching a bunch of Sam Ovens videos, he talks about shiny object syndrome, the dangers of niche hopping, not focusing on one thing. You see one hot opportunity or business career path and then change from one thing to another without giving your original endeavor a proper go. The grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. But then I saw how he's a multimillionaire and how he's supposedly helped a bunch of people become crazy disciplined and successful in starting their own very profitable consultancies. People who come from nothing and now make $10,000 a month, $100,000, $250,000 a month. And now I'm like, fuck, I could do that. There must be all sorts of niche markets in Korea that I could learn to consult for. I have an LLC and a network already. So what do I think as I watch these videos from this super intensely focused, obsessed consultant millionaire guy on YouTube named Sam Evans? Maybe instead of focusing all on my podcast, I should take Sam Evans' course on how to become a consultant, become the most efficient and well put together person that I know, and just tell people how to improve their personal lives and businesses. I think I could be a consultant, do some market research on a niche here in Korea, find what people's problems are, and then offer a solution and then go all in. The ironic thing is, Sam Ovens is the one selling a course on consultancy. And in his video on avoiding shiny object syndrome, he's the person telling you not to jump from one thing to another. That people see that he's made a very profitable business from consulting, and they all think, damn, I should be a consultant. And he says to be careful of that. Now, I've been telling you guys about how I'm consuming so much of Sam Ovens' content and all this stuff all the way up to shiny object syndrome. And he's saying, like, don't just go into consultancy just because you think the grass is greener on the other side. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I can be a consultant. Like, I could totally do that. Like, I'm smart enough and capable and disciplined enough. But just trying to be real with y'all, I just found out recently that it's a scam. Don't buy the course. Do your due diligence. If it's too good to be true, it is. But getting back onto topic with this episode, you got to stick with one thing for the long term. And even if someone who's supposedly a scammer like Sam Ovens says it, that doesn't mean it's not true. This is why it's really important to have discernment. Extract what value you can, discard the bullshit, and be very careful before you give up to money to anyone for a course. That hides all their negative reviews on the internet. Anyways, moving on to other potential career paths. Sometimes I wonder what it's like to have a career in fintech, like a crypto finance or blockchain company, or some exciting tech startup, or in some entertainment, model, talent management, and marketing company. If you're one of my friends listening to this, you're probably in one of these already. I know so many people who work in finance at a private equity firm or a hedge fund, or they're rich crypto traders, or people who work in entertainment, model, and talent management. I've gotten job offers. Good people that I know who I would be excited to work with. Sometimes people have said they know a friend who is looking to hire someone for a cool position that I might be really suited for. And if I work in that position for a while, it could open all sorts of doors for me. I think that would be cool. Maybe I should have done something like that a few years ago. I don't know. But you know what? Cool doors like that will continue to open, especially as I build on this podcast for years on end. I improve my writing, my marketing, build a passionate audience, a wider network of high net worth individuals, and so on. It will look great on my resume. I demonstrate that I produce consistent quality work on schedule and even ahead of time. I demonstrate that I can focus on a given task until completion, and that if I don't know how to solve a problem, I'll figure it out. Just by looking at Mime Time, they'll know that I'll do whatever it takes to get the fucking job done, and that I can focus on any given project for a long period of time. And as the podcasting world grows, I wouldn't be surprised if people start asking me to consult or help them with their podcast or produce their podcast. And I get it could be a full-time paid salary position, or someone might ask me to be a speaker at their events. I mean, case by case, if it helps me further my own goals and vision for this podcast and what I want to do with my life, then yeah, I might consider those things. I've been learning and applying myself with all the things I'm sharing with you guys these days. I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to. I feel like I can get hired at any company when they see how hard I focus and problem solve, when they see that I can get obsessive and focus. But in life, there might be many wonderful, appealing doors. It's just not possible to walk through all the doors. And even then, let's say I walk through one of the aforementioned doors and I dedicate myself to a career in finance, blockchain, tech, entertainment, consultancy, you name it. I'm always going to eventually come back to these topics in my mind. Even if I make millions of dollars working a dope, well-paid position in a luxurious office in a skyscraper, whether as an employee or the CEO of some consultancy or agency, and I'm free to do whatever I want all the time, anytime, I'm still going to be reflecting on my past, my identity issues, wondering who I am, while knowing there are lots of people out there suffering in ways similar to me. I'm still going to think about how unfair it was that I didn't even grow up speaking my own mother tongue when everyone else in my family did. I'm still going to have reminders about that pain. And I know there are going to be people out there, maybe in worse situations than me, who need to hear that healing is possible. Illuminating the darkness of the past is possible and beneficial for you as well. You can transcend it and find meaning, peace, and love in you. I'm still going to be thinking about you, my dear listener, my dear mime timer, someone who I may have never even fucking met or never will meet, though I hope we do. I know you've probably gone through some shit or are going through some shit right now that nobody else understands. And maybe even I don't understand, but you can still believe in yourself. When I was a kid, nobody told me that they believed in me. So if nobody ever told you that they believed in you, then let me be the one to say that I believe in you. If you were waiting for permission from someone to become the best version of yourself and evolve, you don't need permission. Go and be the best version of yourself. If you grew up with abusive, negligent parents or without parents and nobody seems to care or understand your struggle, I care. I understand. I wish someone could have told that to me, even though it can't be 100% true because no one can ever 100% understand what you're going through, even if you explain it to them in detail. But you get what I mean. If your mom or dad never told you that they loved you, if no one has said that they love you, then I will say, I love you. You are worthwhile. I love you. I love you. I love you. Don't listen to those other kids that pick at you and call you chink or whatever, or make fun of you because you're of a different race or a different culture. Fuck them. You're beautiful. You're unique. You're capable. Those other kids wish they were like you. You have your own unique blend of experiences and gifts to offer to the world. You are worthwhile. You are valuable. You are beautiful. You have immense, incredible potential, and people will love you for who you are. Whether you're Korean American or Chinese Canadian or half Korean, half Japanese, half black, an adoptee raised by people from a different race, or some other third culture freak like me, and nobody has told you these things, then let me be the one to say it. I believe in you. You have immense potential. You don't have to go down a dark path and hate yourself and hang out with the wrong crowd and escape from reality into addictions of any kind, whether it's food or video games or drugs. And if you already went down that dark path, you don't have to stay there. There's hope. Every single moment is an opportunity for you to become better. Understanding, acceptance, peace, joy, love, knowledge, wisdom, power, love for yourself, love for your family, love for your ancestors and your heritage and all humanity. Peace and joy that surpasses all understanding. You have a special fucking destiny. I believe in you and I love you. That's why I made this podcast. If there's anything you take away from Mime Time, from me, you're not alone. I believe in you. You have incredible potential. So believe in yourself and I love you. So you see why I'm sacrificing everything else, everything I'm turning away from, all the doors I'm choosing not to go down. Why? Because I had such a fucked up past. I had so much pain and trauma that it still affects who I am to this day. I still think about it. What do I not shut the fuck up about? Well, that's the direction I need to go. Now my life is such joy and fulfillment, but I know there are people still stuck in their suffering with their identity and with their self-esteem, just like I was. If I can help them accelerate their journey, then I fulfill my purpose. In the end, I'm a healer. What I care about is reaching out to lost people who are lost like I was and trying to save them time. Mime time. Of course, I know it's silly for me to say, oh, I could become a super rich career professional in some field, but I'm giving it up for Mime Time for you, the listener. It's obviously easier said than done. And in one way, you could argue it's actually not a sacrifice. It's a willing trade of time and energy I'm happy to make. At least that's the price I pay. I give up some things that I think I want for what I truly, deeply want. So instead of walking through this or that door all the way down into that path, only to realize that I want to come back to the Mime Time door, why don't I just walk the Mime Time door now and just make a living off this? Oof, I feel the self-doubt even as I say it. making a living off this podcast monetization. You've been warned, fam. Anyways, why don't I take this horse to the Mime Time Road and ride till I can't no more? Hard. Money is important. I love money. Just like anyone else, I want more of it. And I have no doubt that it will come hard in time. I've walked into the door of Mime Time podcasting. For the foreseeable future, I'm walking down this hall of podcasting, and I gotta keep going forward on this straight and narrow path. As I walk this path, it will open more doors, opportunities, whatever. And sure, I might consider them for a moment and remind myself why I'm doing this and what my vision is and if it fits in with that vision. I don't know, guys. Being transparent here, I'm still figuring shit out. I'm saying all this shit to you now. Maybe in 5 months, I'll change my mind like an idiot and say, hey guys, I'm changing my career to be a rapper, pastor, consultant for fintech companies now. I'm preaching bars to tech startups to receive the Holy Spirit for maximum profit and spiritual fulfillment. Because I'm a hard, lyrical, spiritual miracle.